Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me for the full moon in Libra. And this is occurring on March 28th at 2:48 p.m. Eastern Time, but times will vary depending on your location. Okay, so let's look at this. We've got this full moon in Libra. So the Libra energy, ruler of the seventh, rules over the seventh house. Venus is its rulership. And Libra is about compromise, balance, harmony, working with the other. The Aries, a lot of stuff in Aries still here. Aries is me. Aries' first house is me. And seventh house is my partner or my reflection, what's reflected back to me in this 3D reality. But the energy of the Libra is about cooperation, beauty, balance. It's not about, it's very much the peacekeeper. I would say, definitely Libra is a peacekeeper. So we're having realizations about that. And then we look at the ruler of the Venus, which is the ruler of the full moon and ruler of Libra, is in the first house, conjunct the Sun, Chiron, and Venus, all at 8 degrees. So that's the the other end of it. A full moon is the opposition to the Sun, so that's what makes it a full moon. And so 8 degrees all across the board, but it's with Chiron and Venus exactly. That's the interesting, I guess, part of this chart, or the most interesting part of this chart, I would say, for me. It's what I'm drawn to. And that's it. If you've never seen my videos before, I definitely am a psychic and intuitive astrologer. I'm not just parroting back things that I've read in a book. This is a psychic intuitive reading, and I'm using the chart as a scrying tool or jumping off point to get the messages for that want to come through. Okay? Although I do understand astrology, too. But if I do color outside the lines quite a bit, in other words. So if that's upsetting to you, then this might not be the forecast for you. But if you like it, by the same token, also, if you don't understand astrology and you're like, well, this looks like a bunch of mumbo-jumbo, hang in there because, again, it is very much an intuitive reading. I'm just using this as my focal point, I guess. Okay. So the Venus and the Sun are both on the side of Chiron. What a big boost. What a big boost for this. Because Chiron is kind of, can be kind of a downer. Chiron's where we wound ourselves over and over again, where we have trouble breaking free of wounding patterns, or not only trouble, but with the things that we are addressing, and sometimes those can be the most difficult things. They can be hereditary, through the family types of patterns, but they definitely are your patterns, where you keep wounding yourself and you're having, it's the point where you can't break through. Or you can break through it, and that's the whole point of working with the Chiron energy, but it can be difficult at times. So Chiron needs a boosting up at times. Chiron can be even depressing at times, some of the things that Chiron represents in our charts can be sort of on the depressing side. It can be where we feel defeated. It's where we self-criticism, where we beat ourselves up, where we criticize ourselves. And again, these can be lifelong patterns. These can be patterns that have gone through the family line. These can also, very often Chiron is, delves into past life patterns that you're dealing with over and over again through many past lives. And when I do those soul readings, this is definitely, Chiron is something that we do look at in a karmic way and attune into to get into your past lives. But it's not hopeless. It's not totally insurmountable. It's totally doable, or at least you thought so before you incarnated. You're like, oh yeah, okay, that's no problem. I can handle that. And then you get down here again, and it's kind of, sometimes it can be where you bit off more than you can chew karmically, or your biggest obstacle. Let's just put it that way. So after that whole speech, it sounds like, oh, Chiron sounds like horrible, but it's not. And in that Aries Ingress painting class that we're doing, we really delve into a lot of the Chiron energy, and he actually, came back from a lot of, he really was the hero in the end, so you can be the hero in the end, especially when Chiron is in Aries. You can be the hero of your own life. But what I was getting to is the Sun is beautiful and Venus is beautiful. So two of the best signs of the placements in the wheel, of the planetary wheels and things, two of the most upbeat, two of the most encouraging, two of the most positive vibe. Chiron is sandwiched in between these two. So it's almost like two friends have come along and say, come on, Chiron, pick yourself up. We're going out. Come on, let's go out and have some fun. Let's go. You know, and Aries wants to go out. Aries wants to do. I know that's not possible, because of the pandemic in a lot of places. But we're getting a boost. Chiron is getting a boost between being sandwiched between the Sun and Venus, because that is just so powerful. The Sun and Venus both are creating, because the Sun is where you shine, it's where you exude out your creations. The Sun is the natural ruler of the 5th house, and the 5th house is the house of creativity. And Venus is a planet of much of creativity. So it can be creativity, like that class that I'm doing, the art creativity, creating your life through art. And that does help heal wounds, too. And that's a lot about what this creative art stuff I've been doing, the spiritual art stuff is about. It does help heal your life. But we're creating our life all the time. We all are. We're co-creating our life. And when we get caught in these kind of defeatist, downer, depressive patterns, which we can do. We can do in the Northern Hemisphere when it's winter and it's dark all the time, number one. Number two, when you're locked up a lot of the time in a pandemic and you're not seeing friends and family or whoever, you're missing that social being with people and that exchange of energy that happens when you're with people. Then it can go into a downward spiral pretty quick, So this coming along, this is giving new life to it. This is very much, let's get up and go, let's get things done, let's do things, let's create our life. And if, I'm doing the art class thing, and it's really cool too, but it could be just through anything. Just getting out of your funk, basically, getting out of your funk. And Libra is also very much a creative planet. Libra is creativity. Libra and Taurus, the two signs that are ruled, sorry about that loud car if you can hear it. Libra and Taurus, the two signs that are ruled by Venus, are both very much creative. I've said this before, and this is just something that I've noted personally, is that I note that Libras often are more into the visual arts and making things look pretty. They're decorators, they're visual artists. And Tauruses often express through music, because it's a throat chakra and it's singing and sounding and making noise, and how the Tauruses always have the beautiful voices. But we're at the Libra time of this full moon. So again, it's just this full, and if you're in the Northern Hemisphere too, beauty is abounding. Beauty is blooming everywhere. This came to me the other day. I was cleaning out the beds, and I leave a lot of the beds full of leaves and stuff over the winter because it's a good insulator. Plus, that's where like butterflies and different things. I find a lot of praying mantis, and they make their nests there. They make not their nests, but whatever. That's where they go to winter over. In the brush, like leaves and brush and stuff. And so if you throw them all on a bag on your lawn, you're throwing out a lot of the natural insects and stuff. So I leave them over the winter. I leave them in the beds, and it gives a nice insulation because of winter. And then I get them out and I put them in the compost pile. In a pile. It's not really a cooking compost pile. I just put them in a pile, which becomes a compost pile. The starts of my compost pile later in the summer. But I push it all up against the back fence there, so they're not getting killed, they're just getting relocated. So, but as I'm raking it out, it's like I'm uncovering beauty. That came to me the other day. I'm like, I'm uncovering beauty. It looks kind of old, all the dead leaves and that, it looks kind of ugly. And you're raking it out, and you see the beautiful soil, and you see the little buds, kind of coming out. I have bulbs everywhere, so all my flower beds have the green bulbs that are popping out of the ground, and it's just so, I'm uncovering beauty. And we can uncover beauty in everything, in every situation. Anything that looks like it's sort of, looks ugly to you, or old and withered, or looks like that opportunity has died, because the dead leaves, that represents like, oh, that's the past, it's dead, it's gone, it's died. maybe there's new life springing forth out of it. And the Libra full moon will help you see that. It's because a full moon is culmination, it brings things to culmination. But it also illuminates, it illuminates. So look, there's those ugly, depressive Chiron over here. Everything, there's those ugly dead leaves all over my yard, and my yard looks like crap, and, blah, blah, blah. And then I go out there and with a little bit of digging, raking, I'm uncovering the beauty. So this is a time, the Libra full moon is a time where you can really uncover the beauty of your life. Yeah, that's it. And this is something that we should do at this time because new life is blooming forward. We got the Venus, we got the Sun over here. So new life is definitely, blooming forward. With this, though, this full moon, 7th house, it can be bringing it more down. That's more of an esoteric view, and I'm bringing it back down into 7th house does rule the personal relationships, So this could be, hopefully it would be like you could work things out. Maybe there's these stumbling blocks in your relationships, these things that you just can't get past, with the Chiron energy, that you can maybe have some enlightenment about. Although we have the Mars in here squaring, it's trining, but what was I looking at? It was squaring. Oh, it's squaring with the Mercury over here. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I want to get into that. But so it's trining with the Mars. So we feel the Mars energy is very present because Mars is the ruler of Aries in the 1st house, and we've got the concentration of the planets there, and then we've also got the North Node conjunct the Mars, so this is the direction we want to go in, and we've got the Mars trine the full moon, so a lot of bouncing back to the Mars energy. There's a lot of bouncing back to this Mars energy. I don't know why they have that not marked. I guess it's too big of an orb. 6 degrees is not too big of an orb for me. If you're not understanding what I'm talking about, orb is the amount of degrees that you allow between to make it, So this is 6 degrees out. That's the orb. Just a real quick astrology note. Some people I know are trying to learn astrology. It's also doing that adjustment thing with the Uranus, too, in the sign of Taurus. But let's go back. I want to look at this Mars and the North Node here. So we have the gumption. Okay. I have to write that down somewhere. There's a word, gumption. Yeah, we have the gumption and the energy and the drive and ambition to go towards the highest calling. The North Node is always the highest calling. And the highest calling is tied in with the this is Gemini here. So it's through communication. The highest calling is through communication. It's bringing it down to communication on a one-on-one level, tier 2. That's what I'm getting for this right now. Because a lot of times it's like, we have these opinions and we express them on social media. And if somebody doesn't agree with us, then we can delete their response and we can, block them or do whatever, So it's not real. 3rd house is real relating. It's 1st, 7th house. This is real relating on a one-on-one basis. This isn't, excuse me. Excuse me. This isn't just throwing it out there and broadcasting. 9th house is broadcasting. This isn't just broadcasting it out and it kind of like, and not getting the feedback. The energy exchange between the 1st and 7th house is getting feedback, conversation. Well, I think this. Well, I think this. Or let's do this. Okay, let's do this. Let's make our plans. It's exchange of energy moving back and forth, back and forth. So this is bringing it more down into, a personal, more personable. Now bringing in the Mercury again here, we've got the Mercury conjunct the Neptune, and that's what's squaring over here. So that can bring in some disagreements. Squares to Mars can be, Mercury square Mars can be arguments. It can be verbally, I think this, I think this, I want to do this, I want to do this. But this is a time of working in partnership. It's not really, we've got all this Aries energy, but at the moment, at least at the moment of this Libra full moon, March 28th or thereabouts, this is a time of dealing with the other person, thinking about the other person, opening the channels of communication. Now with the Mercury, with the Neptune, this is highly, highly creative. This is, because again, the Neptune is not quite in reality. It's the subconscious mind, it's dreams, it's your intuition, it's spiritual. And a lot of times, again, these things are, not really that, they're hard to describe. They're not really tangible to the 3D reality. It's hard to pull them down. It's hard to put them into words. With the Mercury and Neptune, this is a time when you can put these kinds of things into words. So again, if you're a creative person, you could be writing, journaling. You could get a lot out of writing and journaling at this time. With that, you can be really in flow like that. But Neptune is also emotions. So when dealing with our one-on-one relationships, you can really get clear, have a mental understanding, a mental connection in your brain, understanding of your emotions and where they're coming from. And also because Neptune is the 12th house, sometimes these could just even be hidden. These could be like hidden emotions and hidden things that you weren't even aware of yourself. It could be just like hidden in the background there. But coming forward, being able to mentally wrap your head around it, mentally express it, express it to your partner. Again, with these stumbling blocks, if these are ongoing stumbling blocks in your personal life, and if they're relating to relationships, you could like really get through what your partner's trying to say, or you can really express yourself to your partner as to how you're feeling, where they would really get it. If you're just saying the same thing, well, you hurt me, or you don't understand me, well, you could make them understand. This is coming up with another way of expressing it, or another way of comprehension of things that maybe are unclear. So if we're not hearing each other in our relationships, then there's things that are unclear. We're not getting it. So it could be you getting it, or them getting it, or you finding a way to express it so they get it, or you seeing things in your having this comprehension in your mental mind in a different way that you can get it. And it's not only about our wounds, even though the Chiron is very present. It could be solution-oriented, more of how to heal those wounds, or how to see a repeating pattern that you're doing that's causing this to be this unpassable obstacle that you can't get past. What am I doing? How am I creating this? How am I co-creating this? If I'm stuck in a holding pattern and I'm trying to get past this Chiron thing that I'm dealing with, what's my contribution? How am I creating it? How can, even if it does involve the other, maybe it's somebody else that's not, it's holding you back in some way, that won't let you, have what you want, or doesn't want to cooperate with you. Set that aside for a minute, and it's like, well, what can I do to get cooperation that I'm seeking? What can I do to move past the obstacle, move past me, get over myself, basically, get over my self-imposed obstacles, which most of the time that's what it boils down to. I know it's hard for us to see. I mean, I'm in it too. I'm in the soup with you all. I'm not sitting on the cloud being the guru preaching here. I'm in it too. I'm trying to solve these mysteries too. I'm trying to work my life out too. I'm trying to get over my wounds too, so there's that. All right, another thing we want to look at here, well, first of all, let's jump here to, it's actually kind of far away with the Juno. But Saturn is with the part of fortune. That's the thing I want to look at here. So the part of fortune, story as it goes, I usually don't use the part of fortune in these general readings, but I accidentally left them in when I ran the yearly charts, and I run them all at the same time, because I set up the wheel to be different, with the 0 house cusp and everything, whole houses. And so I do 24 charts, or 25, at a time. So I didn't really feel like going back and doing 25, setting it all up and doing 25 charts to take the part of fortune out, so I left it in. But the part of fortune has come into play. It comes into play in your personal chart. That's why I have it. I use it in personal astrology stuff. But the part of fortune is where the fortune lies. So it's actually it's a pretty close conjunction with the Saturn That's the closer thing, and then it's like 8 degrees out with the Jupiter. So it's right in there with the Saturn. So, and the Saturn is also trining the full moon, and sextiling this, and trining the node. We have a grand trine with the full moon, Saturn, and the node and Mars here. So Saturn, the node, and Mars, the node, these are karmic things. Saturn is the lord of the karma. Saturn in Aquarius wants us to rise above this. It wants us to, it's trying to help us break free of these old school earthly restraints. It's also squaring with the Chiron and the, oh, it's actually sextiling that. It's squaring with Uranus. That's that ongoing, we're doing this ongoing, but it's involving with this Chiron and all this stuff that we were just talking about. Chiron and Chiron? Chiron and Saturn, or Saturn and Chiron both have, you know, karmic implications and heaviness. But we don't have to say, oh, it's Saturn, oh, it's Chiron, things are going to be heavy. These are opportunities. These are opportunities to lift out of these things. With the 7th house, these are opportunities to work through these things in our partnerships, our own personal stuff. 1st house, work through partnerships, which is what's going on all the time anyway. This is an opportunity to become aware and see how we're mirrored in the other, you know, how we're mirrored in the other, you know, how what we're projecting out is actually a projection of ourselves, or it's a learning experience through what we're seeing out in the other and bringing it back to ourselves. And in a way that's not, this could make it not so harsh and more pleasant. With the Sun and Venus, it's like almost too like the Sun and Venus are like shielding poor little Chiron. You know, like almost how you would shield a child. You know, it's like we're shielding you. We're helping you with your lessons, but we're doing so with love, like a parent would. You know, a parent. We beat ourselves up so bad. Oh my God! You know, how could you be so stupid to miss that? Or wow, I can't believe you did that. Or nobody would ever love me, you know, if we go even deeper than that, or I'm not lovable. And this is showering that love on us. Of course you are lovable, sweetheart, you know. It's like these parents, or these parents to the inner child, or your spirit guides to yourself. I was laughing the other day. I was kind of depressed, and I went and did some channeling, and then I always feel better, you know, because I do it for myself too, and not just for the books and stuff. And I was laughing on the way back. I thought, well, I feel better now that I've had a pep talk from my guides. You know? So this is like, that's what this is kind of like. You know, the Sun and the Venus are giving Chiron a pep talk. You know, you're giving yourself this pep talk. And it's like, yeah, you know, and being kind to yourself. We would never talk to most of us would never talk to another person the way we talk to ourselves within our self-talk. We just, that wouldn't happen, you know. So try to look at yourself, try to treat yourself as you would, you know, do unto others, the golden rule. During this Libra moon and this whole thing, this is a great time to really, you know, get that as your mantra, get that golden rule as your mantra. Do unto, but reverse it almost, like do unto yourself as you would treat others, you know. Be as kind to yourself and as understanding to yourself and as courteous and as sweet to yourself as you would be to a child or somebody else, somebody that you loved. Treat yourself as somebody that you love. Love yourself. You know, that's how that all comes back to it. And it's just real prominent. I know it's kind of like a catchphrase right now, but it's real prominent with this Venus Sun all being in Aries, you know. That's the 1st house of self. Okay. So this is the reading. Hey, by the way, if you want to get in on that Aries Ingress, that's still going to be available. Even it's coming up, it'll be past this, but I usually leave it up at least till the end of March if you're watching this a little early. Maybe a couple of days. If people are still showing interest the first few days into April, but pretty much the end of March is going to be the cutoff. It's real powerful. We look at exactly where it's a transit reading. If people often email me, when do you do any transit readings to the natal chart? And the only time I really do them is these 4 quarters, and it's just, you know, when these come up, then you can get your transit for the upcoming. So I do a bi-wheel, it's your natal wheel, and then I do the, you know, I do the outer ring is the transits of the 0 Aries Ingress. And it's a snapshot of the energy of the 0 Aries Ingress. it's going to be different every year on this area. You know, 0 Aries is always going to fall the same spot in your chart, obviously, but the rest of the wheel is going to be different. So it's a predictive tool for the upcoming season, and then even with the Aries, it's the upcoming year, because it really is like the astrological new year. The other thing I'm doing, if you want to get into some self-love and some creativity, is that painting class. If you are an artist, cool. I mean, you can just join it for the spiritual exercise part of it, because it is a spiritual exercise. It's a 8-part layers of consciousness and things like that. But if you don't know art, I bring it down to some real basic things too. You can, if you're more advanced, I think you can still get a lot out of it. I know a lot of my viewers are creative people, so if you're interested in that, it's a very reasonable price for 8 classes, basically. You can find all that in the link below. All these things are to empower you and set your intention for the upcoming, at this time when I'm recording the reading, upcoming Aries Ingress. This is a little bit after that, but I feel like the whole time we're in Aries, it's still active, you know, and certainly from at the end of March and in the first week of April, I feel like the Aries Ingress is still really active, and you can still do these empowering exercises, whether it's just lighting a candle or whatever. So check that out if you're interested. Thank you so much for all your support, liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing to my channel. If you enjoy the content, please do hit the subscribe. Remember, you are love and beauty incarnate, and have a great full moon in Libra, and I'll speak to you soon.